Hey everybody, it's Joseph here for Zenny62. So I have a commentary, if you will, with regards to Major League Baseball. Um, so this is what it is. As we know that there's continually outbreaks in the Major League Baseball season, we've recently had four more players from the St. Louis Cardinals test positive, and the fear there is that there's going to be a lot more positive tests that are going to come up in the next couple of days, which will essentially put the Cardinals season in jeopardy. But not only that, what contact tracing is going to go back to other teams who actually played those Cardinals while those players were playing. Because what we have seen in the last couple of weeks is that other teams are being infected by one or two players from the opposing team, hence the Marlins. Now we have one of the premier players in Cespedes from the New York Mets decide to call it quits. And in the middle of the campaign that we're having against the other team, he basically called his agent and said, I'm done. He left his hotel room and initially didn't even tell the team because they were looking for him. And they even reached out to him a few times and he never responded. And finally, his agent had to call the New York Mets and tell him, hey, he's not playing anymore. So this is serious. And this is not going to stop. And the problem that I have is that Rob Manfred has done a horrible job, in my opinion, with regards to handling this season. I wanted this season to happen, right? But to be half-assed about which protocols you're going to follow and not even continually following rules, because obviously you have players that are leaving the hotel rooms. A couple weeks ago, one went to a strip club. So where is the security? Major League Baseball likes to say that they're real strict. They have their own security force, their own security team. Well, why aren't you enforcing those security teams with the teams themselves so that they're not violating the rules? Because if they want this to work and they want this to happen, you can't be willy-nilly about it. The other point I like to make is, as much as I like sports and how much as I think it benefits us as a whole, it's not an essential thing. We don't need sports to survive. Our great-grandparents or our grandparents during World War II, Major League Baseball was suspended. They didn't decide, oh, okay, well, we're in the middle of a war and we're going to continue playing baseball because we're stubborn and we're spoiled kids and we need to watch sports or hear sports on the radio back then. No. You got to take priorities first. And the priority first is to get this country back on track and try to slow down the spread of this virus, because up to now there's no vaccine. And essentially you're putting everybody's life in danger when you think you can act like nothing is happening, continue to play baseball. And that's the problem with I have. You watch the games and I watch the games. And in particular, I'll talk about my team and specifically, which is the Dodgers. Is that I see members of my own team playing, they have these rags or schmatas around their neck that you can be utilized as a covering to cover like this, but most of the time, 90% of the time, they're not wearing it, so I don't know what good it does hanging around your neck if you're not utilizing it. And in one instance, you had a player, a batter, up to bat with that same thing around his neck when he's in close proximity not only of the umpire, but the catcher. So wouldn't that be the ideal time to wear the coverings? Because he's an outfielder. At least he is more than 6 feet, right? That's social distance in its finest, right? He's center fielder. You have two other left and right fielders flanking him. So you're not in close proximity. So what's the point of having that covering if you're not going to be utilizing it when you're up to bat or standing at first base? None of this makes any sense. You know, it's almost like to wear to tell everybody, look, I have a face mask. Well, but big deal. If you're not wearing it, what good does it do? This is going to spread like wildfire in the next couple of weeks if something's not done. But more importantly, why was it so important to have baseball in 2020? And the bottom line, it comes down to money. Not money that you and I are receiving, but it's money for these millionaire owners or billionaire owners and these millionaire players. Baseball is not essential. It's not that important that we continue risking the lives of not only the players that we enjoy watching, but the lives of other people. This is ridiculous. At this point, we got to stop. Right? And so I expect tons of thumbs down on this video because many of you are like spoiled children that can't handle the truth. You want to be blind. You like that monkey. Don't want to feel nothing, don't want to hear nothing, and don't want to see nothing. That's exactly what Major League Baseball is doing. They want to pretend that none of this is happening because many of you support this idea that they should continue and fight through it. But listen, we don't even know how to cure this virus yet. So for us to give this false pretense that we're going to fight through it and we can tough it out, well, obviously that's not working. Because you have people dying. You even have Trump's, one of Trump's supporters, Herman Cain, as Zenny reported, passed away. And this is somebody who was supposed to be a doctor and well respected, but yet he wasn't following the rules because he was following the lead of the president. And the president didn't want anybody in his inner circle to show them wearing a mask because he has this agenda he's trying to push. Trying to politicize this virus is horrible because you have people dying, whether you're on the left, you're the right, whether you're red, blue, it doesn't matter. People are dying. And people are getting sick, and it's going across all ages now. So it's not important that we continue a baseball season if it's not going to be safe. Would I like for it to happen? Yes. Would I like the season to be played safely? Yes, but it's not being done. It's a matter of time that your favorite team will unfortunately come with an outbreak, and then what happens to that team? What happens to the season? This was an experiment, but it was a bad experiment from the get-go because we knew this was going to happen. But when it comes down to money, and that's it. And the argument that's always been made in the past when it comes to why we need baseball is because they support so many jobs. Well, nobody's working now in the stadium. Nobody's selling concessions. Nobody's selling t-shirts. Nobody's selling programs. There is no money being made for those workers that you always used to complain that you're there for supporting. So why are we having baseball? To put money in your pockets, not in the pockets of the everyday average person. So we don't need to have baseball if it's going to cause an outbreak, and the outbreak is spreading already in Major League Baseball, and we're not even halfway through the 2020 season. Now, what does that say for football? As training camp has opened, if you saw Zenny's vlog earlier, you have Minshew that's put on the reserve list. You have several players throughout the league that have been put on the reserve list. The Raiders' Devontae Booker, who they signed in the offseason, can't play. And this is just the beginning because training camp just initially started. So what happens during training camp once you start interacting with people on a regular basis? It's foolish to think these outbreaks won't happen. And for what? To entertain us like children? Are we that dependent on being entertained by our sports athletes in jeopardy of their lives, possibly, or in the life of others? Let's grow up. This may be a year that we need to stop and take evaluation of how we move forward in this country and how we view things and take stock of what's important on our lives. And frankly, I don't think Major League Baseball is one of them at this time. If this outbreak continues, obviously as much rhetoric and as much talk is that people are saying they're taking precautions. Well, obviously those precautions aren't working. So what's next? Just some thoughts I had, and like I said, just because you don't like to hear it doesn't mean that it's not true. But if anything, we got to maintain our diligence and staying as safe as possible. Something that we hear from everybody else. Wear your face mask. If not for yourself, wear it for someone else. Have respect for someone else. Have respect for yourself. Because you just don't know who may not have it. So keep it here on Zenny62, and Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll keep you updated on more news as it comes.